we thought about doing something different and react to some of the comments left on our podcast. If you like a chance to have your comment featured on the next video, think about leaving a comment. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and like the content. Right here. Alright, it says, y'all bugging. Boruto's art has drastically improved over the past 7 years. The art right now is solid and has been consistent for the past 25 chapters.
I think it depends. It depends on what we're looking at. I mean, if you're comparing Boruto to Boruto, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I think early Boruto was a lot plainer and stuff like that. But if we're comparing Boruto to like other manga series, like the elites of the elites, like I don't necessarily think Boruto is like really up there. Now, don't get me wrong. I personally don't really care that much. Like, I think the Boruto manga is one of the best mangas that I've read, period. And that's probably because I haven't really read that much. But I think entertainment-wise, yeah, I know
really
people can say that. But I think entertainment-wise, I honestly think the Boruto manga, like, hypothetically, because I do know the canon that I did see it in Naruto, but again, I never really read the Naruto manga. But if it was just the canon from Naruto, I still say Boruto manga is better, and I'm not really taking into account art. So when I talk about art, to me, I don't really care. But just objectively speaking, I don't necessarily think that Boruto is up there with all the other mangas that have the budget that Boruto does have. Like, for example, the My Hero Academia. Again, I'm talking about budgets. I don't necessarily know for sure, but just big manga series. One Piece, elite art. We talked about this in the last pod. My Hero Academia, elite art, like stuff like that. And not only that, to be honest, Samurai 8 arguably had better art than Boruto 2. So it's like Boruto's art, in my personal opinion, it's not like series break or manga breaking. Like, I could get through it and still be extremely enjoyed. Like, even though I said My Hero Academia's art is better, I like Boruto's manga way better than My Hero Academia. So, but I'd still say Boruto's art isn't really up there.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not really into My Hero only for the simple fact that it's too many characters, but the art is spectacular. And I think I said in one of the last pods, One Punch Man has like an elite artist. Whoever pens their mangas, he's fantastic. The background work, everything, like he has so much to it. Like what he draws, it will probably take me a month to draw just one panel. So Boruto, I think it's me personally, I think it's a little bit lazy, but it's good enough, I guess, if you want to say that.
No, it's fun. I mean, I said this about this comment, I think, before we were recording, but like if you just look at the comment, it's so funny, bro. It's like he says Boruto's art has improved over the past 7 years. And then, like, okay, so the next thing he's about to say is 7 years later, which he follows up by saying the art right now is solid. So what was it before 7 years, bro? If it's solid now, that's crazy, bro. That's that comment in and of itself pretty much.
I think 7 years. It took 7 years for us to get solid art.
Like, yo, like yeah, it took 7 years for us to be alright. You know, we alright, bro. I think that's kind of the point, though. I mean, yeah, like we could be so much better. But I've said this before, though. I just don't see a use in like criticizing the men at this point because we got what we got. Unless you just want to be miserable the whole ride, so you just kind of like accept it. But you know, if you want to talk about it and bring it up, I think it's valid if you got some points. It is all subjective, anyways. But you
know. But do you think it's that though, Mel? You think there's no possible way we can get like a new artist to like pen the Boruto manga?
I think the question is, I love when people ask me what's possible because I always give them the same answer. Anything's possible. It's possible we can get some new stuff. But I like to judge people through what they do, and then like I can get the measure of a business, a person, a corporation, or whatever, through what they do consistently. And they have consistently had this brother at the helm. So I'm assuming if I look at the past, like he said, 7 years, and I look at the next 7 years, God help us all. Then I'm thinking. The brother gonna be around for the long haul. That's a mean 14 years of solid. Okay, it's just like Damon called Boruto shit nifty. I'm like, okay, it's just solid, bro. Okay, I guess that's where we at. You gotta settle for solid. That's crazy.
That's crazy. All right, this comment is from XBEC995. Cold will become an ally then die in a self-sacrificing way like Obito. This is the best his character can hope for. Laugh out loud. I have not seen a villain fail so miserably at their role in all my life.
To be honest, I wouldn't necessarily completely disagree with that comment. I think at this point, we always ask the question, like, do we still have faith in Code? Like, is Code really still going to be that type of villain? And I think at this particular point, a lot of people kind of give up on the character. What I do hope, I mean, if he does become a self-sacrifice, first things first, it, I'm not gonna say I hope, but I think it's realistic for him to become like a self-sacrifice for an enemy, for a villain of the Hidden Leaf Village, and not necessarily for the Hidden Leaf Village or something like that. I think like a cold death, it could be extremely impactful, hypothetically, if it does mean that one of the Shinju or something like that does get their hands on either Boruto or Kawaki, and then they're able to like plant a god tree on planet Earth. I think that right there would be like a decent sacrifice, and at the end of the day, we could possibly say like, hey, maybe Code as a actual fighter didn't necessarily do too much, but he did actually lead to the planet being completely destroyed.
Right.
Like that would be a W for his character.
No matter what they do with the character, it's going to be lackluster because and I've said this at nauseum at this point. I guess I'll just say it again. This guy, you can't really empathize with him, right? Like there's a few ways that you can kind of relate to a character, or like, you know, tether yourself to a character. You can have like an emotional response. You can hate them. You can love them. You can empathize with them, right? But I don't think you can do that not, you know, knowing where he came from. There's no backstory, anything like that. So you're kind of just left with one of the other paths, which is like, oh, well, I get something like a dopamine hit from him, right? Like he does something cool, or he looks cool. I don't think he looks cool. I don't like his drip. I don't rock with it. And he does nothing cool. It's the strangest thing with this character. Like sometimes you get like a dope backstory, but sometimes they're really not in the series too much, like in Itachi in the early parts. Or you don't really get that backstory, but you get like them doing some like big, you know, amazing thing, and it's almost like a Kashin Koji, right? You can understand he's not going to have like a deep, rich history. He's like a clone, right? But he does cool stuff, and people really resonated with him. He looked cool, but with Code, he doesn't have anything, bro. Like he doesn't look cool. He doesn't do cool things. I don't know where he comes from. I can't empathize with him. So even if he is a sacrifice for the good guys, I'm like, how impactful will that be for like me caring about his character if I don't know anything? I think you got to do some work with his character to even get to that. And if he sacrifices himself, or rather becomes a sacrifice for the villains, either through his own choices or, you know, against his own will, then why do I care, right? He's just been stepped on literally as a character. So
and that's the thumbnail for this comment too. That's funny.
I don't know what to do with him, bro.
I was actually talking to my trainer at my job, and he brought up an interesting thing. He said that like a lot of the greatest characters, like, I mean, not characters, I mean, if you want to put it towards actors and films and stuff like that, when it can portray a role so well where you hate them in real life or dislike them in real life, then that adds credence to their character and how well their character is played. Like, let me give you an example. Any of y'all ever watch Players Club?
A long time ago.
Sound familiar.
Remember old boy at the end that did that thing to old girl?
Yeah, the bald head guy.
Yeah.
The girl's brother.
Yeah. Bro, he played that role so well that people actually really hated him in real life. So just to bring that full circle, Code, his character, I wouldn't say he's not well written. I don't think that's what he said. But I think that they're doing that on purpose for us to hate Code. And eventually he's going to have that, like I said before, he's going to have that redemption arc. I see it coming. There's no reason to keep him around for no reason. Like he was talking about Obito. Obito stayed around. Obito was elusive. He got out of every situation, but we didn't really know who Obito was. And at the end of the day, we really don't know who Code is too, because like you said, we have no backstory. We have no information really about him to really care who he is. So we can get a bait and switch just like we got with Obito, where the character we've been seeing, he been getting stomped on, beat up all the time and shit like that, has just been playing the role, so people think that he's weak or he's an idiot, like fans' perspective, and in the series as well, so they can put that bait and switch and, you know, surprise everybody that actually he did have a plan all along, and everything that he did was not a mistake. It was all calculated. So Cole could actually be the genius of the series, But
I don't think so. Just me personally. You
it's
know,
just,
I mean, even with
just an analysis.
even with Toby, it's like, you know, he was getting his moments to be goofy and silly, but he never lost. Like if you go
Yeah, I
back
meant
and you
Toby,
notice,
not Obito. My bad, Toby.
yeah, like you go back and notice, like Toby never lost. Like
No, he didn't.
he never even like got hit. I mean,
Yeah.
No,
it
he
always
didn't.
it was always an illusion. You thought, oh, okay, well Sasuke cut this guy, he gets back up. Sasuke like, Nani, what? That's interesting. So like, but with Code, like he takes legitimate L's. I think he has actual internal monologue, like speaking to himself, right? About like what's going on, about how he's like frustrated or whatever the case may be. I have to go back and check, of course, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing that exists, and I'm pretty sure like nobody's like in his head, right? Like while he's saying this. So like, there's these moments where this character is just clearly not like he's out of his depth. He's so far out of his depth.